whole grain bread, whole grain cereal. People think that's good. Well, it's poison because when people think about whole grains, they think about whole grain bread.
Right.
And unfortunately, human body physiology does not do well with bread.
Welcome to Becoming Virtuosa, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Susan Crockett. You are listening to episode number 62, Eating the Rainbow. Join me in welcoming back my very special guest, Dr. David Reed Miloy, as we show you how two doctors, me and him, shop the rainbow in the produce section and build a beautiful, healthful holiday crudité board. Enjoy!
Welcome to Becoming Virtuosa, the podcast that encourages you to become your best virtuosa self. Each week, Dr. Susan Crockett goes where the scalpel can't reach, exploring conversations about how to be, heal, love, give, grow, pray, and attune. For the first time ever, she's bringing the personal one-on-one teaching that she shares with individual patients to you on this broader platform. A weekly source of inspiration and encouragement designed to empower you. By evolving ourselves as individuals, we influence and transform the world around us. Please help me welcome board-certified OB-GYN specializing in minimally invasive GYN surgery, internationally in the top 1% of all GYN robotic surgeons, a certified life coach, and U.S. News top doctor, your host, Susan A. Crockett, MD.
I want to welcome you back to our kitchen with my very special guest, who's a repeat guest. Welcome back, Dr. David Reed Miloy.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Crockett.
Just a quick little background. Reed and I met because he was my weight loss coach when I went whole food vegan about 2 years ago. And I always qualify that with mostly. But today we've got a really great show because one of the things he taught me was how to shop and eat the rainbow. So we started off this segment at Central Market on Broadway in San Antonio and we shopped the rainbow.
Yes.
And then we brought it all here for you guys. And we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition and eating the rainbow today. We're going to make a vegan poppy seed dressing for our salad. And I'm going to show you how to do a charcuterie board. And Reed's going to start us off by talking about the Fab Five.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the rainbow, but we want to put that in the larger context of, what is the healthiest way to eat? And I like to, say, eat the Fab Five. And what the heck is that? Veggies, fruits, whole grains, seeds, and nuts. And I just want to go through each one of those categories briefly so we kind of understand not only what do those categories mean, what's in there, but what are the best choices in those categories. So let's start with veggies. As you can see, we have a lot of cruciferous vegetables. And what are cruciferous vegetables? Well, it's things like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale.
There's a cabbage.
And on. There's a watercress. There's a whole ton of cruciferous vegetables out there. And cruciferous vegetables are important because they have a class of compounds in them called isothiocyanates. And isothiocyanates. Isothiocyanate.
Say it with us.
And so, say it all together real fast, 5 times in a row. When we chew or cut a cruciferous vegetable, the plant releases an enzyme called myrosinase. And myrosinase converts the isothiocyanate into a magical chemical compound called sulforaphane.
Which we're going to have.
And we'll talk about sulforaphane, but sulforaphane is our friend, does a whole host of beneficial things. Most of the research for sulforaphane came out of Johns Hopkins initially. And sulforaphane is a very important chemical compound, reduces our risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer, neurodegenerative disorders, and so forth, and reducing inflammation in the body. And that whole,
key to everything, right?
Yeah, we've really come a long way here in the last 20 years. The word is now out on the street. Most of my patients, at least, are coming in and they know that inflammation is bad. And so how do we keep it down? We eat these foods.
Tell us about the fruits.
Yeah, so cruciferous vegetables, that's category 1. Number 2 is going to be fruits. Now, not all fruits are the same. And when we talk about fruits, we want to hone in on the berries. Okay, so blueberries, blackberries, elderberry, cherries. I mean, berries and dark colored fruits are the healthiest to eat. Now, a lot of folks out there have weight issues and they're concerned about eating too much fruit because there is sugar in fruit.
Yep.
And it's important. to not liquefy your fruit.
You know, this is one of those things that I talk to my diabetic and insulin resistant patients. So I have a lot, as you may imagine. Well, those of you don't know me, I'm a GYN robotic surgeon, but I have a lot of patients that we talk about in the office. Their weight problems, and a lot of them are perimenopausal. And this is a particularly interesting thing to me because perimenopausal women, we have a lot of trouble with weight gain, especially midsection weight gain, which is the unhealthy kind that increases our risk of heart disease as we age. In fact, menopausal women catch up with men's cardiovascular risk when they transition. So this is super important.
Yeah.
So we talk about when we eat fruits, there are a couple of things that I recommend. One is, like you say, don't liquefy it. The smoothie thing just crushes all the fiber up and liquefies it.
I could tell you a personal story. Years ago, I bought my staff a blender, and I wanted them to have smoothies every day. And so I bought them all the stuff to go in there.
Nice.
And then they started going crazy with the fruit. About a month went by, and they all gained 5 pounds. And so I had to take the blender away from them.
Because you can just drink it so fast. So juices and...
It's how fast sugar comes into the body is what matters. We want to avoid the line of evil. So I tell my patients, look, this is the line of evil. And what you want to do is you want nice, gentle rolling hills of sugar, blood sugar, and insulin levels. But when we liquefy our fruit, or we eat a processed carb, or we eat something with too much sugar, you get this quick spike. And right behind that, the pancreas, which is monitoring your blood sugar, secretes a large bolus of insulin. And when that goes above the line of evil, you've now got too much insulin out in the bloodstream. It's going to hang out for 6 hours or so.
And it shoves all that sugar right into fat.
And it's going to tell the body to convert that into fat immediately. And so, and then it's going to make you hungry a couple hours later because now your blood sugars crash because you got too much insulin.
The other thing I find that is helpful is that personally, I only eat fruits in the morning because I can metabolism. I'm up and running. And so I, often I'll intermittent fast. So I don't actually start eating till about 10 or 11 o'clock. But my point is I don't do fruits at 5 or 6 o'clock at night because then my metabolism is slowing down and getting ready for bed. And I won't be using up the sugar for energy.
Absolutely. And a good rule of thumb is just if you want to have fruit, have a serving of berries. All right. That's a serving, what fits in the palm of the hand, not here, palm of the hand, and have one in the morning and maybe one in the afternoon or evening. That way you're spreading it out. And like you said, have it before activity.
Yep. Use it.
And you could apply that, basically to anything. So let's say you misbehave, have a piece of cake. We're all going to do that. We're all going to go out afterwards, like within 15, 20 minutes, go for a walk. Go for a brisk walk for about 20 minutes, and it will do wonders.
Burn it off. Okay, so that's fruits and veggies. How about
whole grains?
5 nuts, 58853.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
No,
we're going to do whole grains. Okay, get me out of order here. I'm just a mess.
Okay, don't do that.
So we got veggies, cruciferous vegetables, fruits. We're focused on berries. Now, the berries, just one side note, is that anthocyanins are the compounds in berries. Like, look at our blueberries here. You got all of this dark color. If it stains your hands and your clothes and, all of that stuff, that's good. You want it in your body. Those anthocyanins are super potent antioxidants.
Love that.
And it's decreasing inflammation, protecting your DNA. And a study was actually done on blueberries where they gave people a serving of blueberries and said, go out and go do your routine exercise. For a lot of people, that was just like a 30-minute walk. And then afterwards, they drew their inflammatory markers. So you had a control group and a treatment group. The people eating blueberries had like a 50+% reduction in their inflammatory markers after exercise. So it's absolutely so. It's the anthocyanins, that's the compounds in the berries. Whole grains. Now, people get confused about whole grains, and the big food industry really does a tremendous disservice to people because they put whole grain bread, whole grain cereal, and people think that's good. Well, it's poison. Because when people think about whole grains, they think about whole grain bread.
Right.
And unfortunately, human body physiology does not do well with bread. Now, we all love our bread. We all grew up with bread, but I'm just the messenger. The science says bread is, and we could see this about all processed carbs for that matter, act like sugar. When I'm talking to patients, I'm saying, hey, sugars, processed carbs, put them in the same category. So the whole grains that we want to get into our body are going to be things like wild rice, brown rice. Yeah. We got good examples of that. Oats. Okay. That's another one. Here we've got, brown rice, which is great. And we want to get these whole grains into our bodies. But it's a whole host of things out there that are whole grains. And so brown rice, wild rice, oats, barley. I mean, you have at it. You want to try to get as much of that into your body as possible.
Okay.
And that is not hard to do, right? It's really simple if you think about it. So fourth category is seeds. Seeds is anything that you can take with your finger, push it into the ground, add water, and it sprouts, okay? So I like to keep it simple, right? So that means that's all of your legumes, right?
Like
and
peanuts.
that would be in the nuts. That's our fifth category, but it would be things like all of your beans, any seed. I like to say there are no bad seeds. I mean, plants have been making seeds for hundreds and hundreds of millions of years, and we have been on that evolutionary path with them. And those plants depend on animals, mammals to eat them and to spread those seeds. And so there's a synergistic story there between seeds and
humans.
Humans.
So we've got flax seed, chia seed. We're doing seed today, but that includes like pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, there are no bad seeds, and I use a ton of pumpkin seeds. Of course, we can all get those at the grocery store now. And seeds are a great source of protein.
Yep.
And lignans decrease cancer risk, cardiovascular risk. But ground flax seed, is something I encourage people to use a lot in their diet.
Yep.
And you can get ground flax seed just from about anywhere and store them in these containers. Put them on your oats, put them on your salads and so forth. And the reason for that is ground flaxseed, chia seeds are just loaded with omega-3s. And omega-3s are important because they're potent anti-inflammatory effects. All right. And we want to get inflammation down. As we're getting older, our inflammation is creeping up.
Yeah, tell me about it.
The road narrows there, right? And we know that inflammation promotes cardiovascular disease, cancer, the neurodegenerative diseases. And so pain, it's no fun. Unfortunately, for most people, this is a silent process and they can't feel it. We feel our arthritis, but we don't feel the inflammation. And when you go to see your doc, if you haven't had high sensitivity CRP levels drawn, you need to be asking for that study. Your doctor says, well, your insurance won't pay for it. Pay an extra few bucks. It's $20, $25. It's a very important thing. And that's something that you want well below 1.0. So all seeds are good. And, not all beans are the equal. All right. So being down here in Texas, we eat a lot of what?
Pinto beans.
Black beans. So black beans are what? When we talk about the rainbow, well, black's not in the rainbow, but it's the dark colors that protect us. So we have more antioxidants in the black beans than, say, a lima bean. All right. So black beans, it goes black beans, red beans, and then on down the list. Now, if you want to trump the beans, you go with lentils. Lentils have even more antioxidants than the beans do.
Love lentils.
But you can't go wrong. Yeah, there are no bad seeds. All right. That's the moral of that story. So that's category number 4. And then number 5, is we have almonds in here and we have pistachios. So when we talk about nuts, there's a whole variety of nuts out there, and people get a little bit confused on what is the type of nut they want to eat to get the most health benefit. When it comes to this category, it's the pistachios. Why do we love pistachios? Because they're loaded with antioxidants.
Yep.
And we know that pistachios promote cardiovascular health. And I was talking to you guys at the grocery store earlier. There was a study done, and they gave men just a serving of pistachios daily and erectile dysfunction.
Because improves nitric oxide and vasodilation.
Absolutely. Promotes nitrous oxide production. And then after that, in a distant second comes walnuts, pecans. Those are about the same. Maybe walnuts a little bit more than pecans, but they've got what? Got the omega-3s again, alpha-linoleic acid, which most people can convert ALA over into the most important forms of omega-3s, which is EPA and DHA.
Right.
Now, there are a lot of different genetic polymorphisms out there, and not everybody can convert alpha-linoleic acid over into EPA, DHA efficiently.
Well,
and so I like to tell my patients to supplement with omega-3s, EPA, and DHA. We can get into that later.
All right.
But the nuts is what it's all about. Yeah, you just want to get those 4 primary nuts, and then cashews and other things maybe less. But the tropical nuts, I see people using a ton of coconut oil. and Brazil nuts. Those are loaded with saturated fats, and that is going to elevate LDL and ApoB in our blood, and that is atherogenic. Yeah.
So just to summarize the Fab Five, we've got our veggies, cruciferous veggies in particular.
Well, all veggies are good, but cruciferous mainly.
And then our dark berries, our fruits.
Yep.
Our whole grains, seeds, and nuts.
You got it.
All right.
You got it.
So we're going to start this segment by making a vegan, whole food, plant-based poppy salad dressing, because the veggies are great, but sometimes it's nice to put a little extra on it. And the ingredients that we're using for this salad dressing have some added health benefits. So I'm going to start prepping, and Dr. Miloy is going to tell you all about these ingredients. So this I did not make from scratch. Sometimes I do, but this is a whole food, plant-based vegan mayonnaise.
Yeah, I get to be Vanna here, and there's a lot of brands out there, and this is a brand that I've used over the years. So, Sue, I'm glad to see you have it as well. Follow your heart. Now, one of the things that is just imperative, guys, is, reading labels. When you start reading labels, you become a reading label expert, and you'll get so good at it, you'll be able to just look at a product and pretty much tell what's in there before picking up the label. And you need to be able to know some key things. What's the saturated fat? Is there cholesterol in there? What's the sodium content? And all these things, right? So sugar is a big one, and sugar gets added to a lot of products. So if we look at this veganese, and by the way, Dr. Crockett, compare the taste of this to just traditional mayonnaise.
Oh, it's delicious. I can't tell the difference. It's incredible, which is why I bought this instead of making it, aside from the fact that I was just a little out of time and busy. So the other thing I look for when I'm buying jarred stuff like this is how many things I can't pronounce, all the preservatives and crap. Sorry. Stuff.
Yeah. Crap's all right. And, we could say there's a lot of unhealthy stuff added to our food. But for example, when we think about mayonnaise, we think about fat, right? And we know that there are trans fats. I think the world has kind of figured out that, hey, trans fats are bad, and they're being phased out. A lot of the food products don't even have trans fats. But, what is a healthy fat and what's an unhealthy fat? And so it's the saturated fats that we want to keep low in our diet, and as low as possible. And the reason for that is saturated fats increase oxidation, atherogenesis, and contribute to cardiovascular disease. And so we want the monounsaturated, the polyunsaturated fat. So when we look at this product, there is a total of 9 grams of fat per serving. Okay. So it's, fat's not bad. It's just what kind of fat. And if you look at the saturated fat, it's only half a gram. So very low in saturated fat. Half a gram of saturated fat's really not going to move the needle. It's not going to be a big deal. How much sodium? 75 milligrams. Where do we want to keep our sodium? Below 2,300 milligrams per day.
So we put a cup of that in our blender.
Yeah.
And the next thing I'm going to add is a third of a cup of unsweetened almond milk.
Yeah. That's really key. So a lot of Americans are still drinking milk. Yeah, we all grew up on it. I grew up in East Texas, and, it was all Southern fried everything. And there's really a fundamental, this is a segue into fundamental principles. I think we need to, when we talk about nutrition, we need to ask ourselves, who are we? And we are bipedal apes. We're bipedal great apes. We've got essentially about 95% the same DNA as a chimp, and 90+% the same DNA as gorillas and orangutans. And what are they eating? They're eating
vegetables,
whole food, plant-based diet. Chimps will quarter up a monkey. It's pretty gruesome.
Thank you for that visualization.
Yeah, they do. But generally speaking, they're like 99+% plant-based. And we want to eat in accordance to that, because you look at our dentition, you look at our GI tracts, they're very similar. And you look at the reams and reams of data out there, is that being whole food, plant-based is the healthiest way to go. This is the only diet that reverses cardiovascular disease, which has been shown to reverse cardiovascular.
Astonishing. So when we can substitute things that taste good and work the same in our cooking, like the almond milk that we put in this, then you don't miss the flavor, and what it's doing in your body is so much healthier. So now I'm just juicing a couple of lemons.
Yeah. And so, why you stay away from cow's milk? Number one, saturated fat. Number two, they add sugar to it. Okay. And so
they add sugar to my cow's milk?
They add it to the cow's milk.
What?
Sugar is highly addictive. We want to avoid that. Now, I can just tell you folks that for 25 years, I've been encouraging my patients to get off cow's milk and consume a soy, almond, oat milk with no sugar added. And they balk up front. And the reason they balk is because of the sugar addiction and also a compound called casein, C-A-S-T-I-N.
Cheese also.
Which is found in all mammals' mother's milk. And we make cheese, we hyperconcentrate casein. But casein is a protein that when ingested, like everything, goes to the liver first and gets metabolized into casomorphin.
Which is like morphine.
It's an opiate, and it binds to the opiate receptors in the brain.
Cheese. Can you believe that? People, when you first told me that, I was so disappointed. I was devastated when you told me that.
Yeah. Well, I was too when I found out. And then I found out, hey, look, I don't wake up craving cheese or wanting cheese. I never do. It's an addiction. And it's the true opiate crisis.
Except when I say I'm whole food plant-based, I got to admit to you, I still put the feta on my
little feta.
salad.
Well, if you're going to do...
little Parmesan.
If you're going to do a cheese, a hard cheese or a little Parmesan really is not going to have a huge negative impact.
Right.
Okay? But it's that casein, and that's nature's way of getting that infant, newborn, addicted to mother's milk, because rule 1 in nature is the baby has to feed, right? And if it doesn't, it's going to perish. Rule 2 is baby must be weaned. And about 12,000 years ago, we learned how to domesticate cows, goats, and sheep, and we learned how to make cheese. So this is an unnatural thing, and our body just doesn't handle it very well.
So this is a very natural thing. The next ingredient is a 1/4 cup of your flavored vinegar. So you can use your apple cider vinegar if you want, but we're using our friends Beet and Honey Shrub Shot from Other Mother. You can see their shows on our channel. If you haven't watched the Other Mother vinegar shows, we have our New Year's show is mocktails with them. We made non-alcoholic cocktails for New Year's.
Wow.
That's our New Year's shoot. So anyway, I'm using a 1/4 cup of the Beet and Honey in here. And then we're going to do poppy seeds. So there's your seeds.
Yeah, there's your seeds.
This is 2 teaspoons of poppy seeds going in here. And then the last one is some dried onions.
Yeah, onions. I mean, onions are incredibly healthy for us. They have anti-cancerous properties to them.
I'm going to shake this up. We're going to put it in the blender. Okay, so we simply put this in our blender. I happen to have a Vitamix, but you can put it in any of them. And this is just a nice salad dressing.
That's incredible.
It's great, right? All right, so this is going to sit here on our
really delicious
board.
I'm joking. You can dip. No, I made a good face. That is incredible, Dr. Crockett. So,
awesome.
Dip in your cruciferous vegetables. A lot of people want to eat broccoli, or they want to eat more kale, and they struggle with that. And the reason is because you have to tame your broccoli or tame your kale.
Right. So
that is going to tame it beautifully. You can just eat it raw.
The bitterness out of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is our kale for our board. We're making a veggie board today. So we have 2 different kinds of kale that we picked up at the store.
Yeah, we did. We got color here. We mixed it up, not just your traditional green kale, but purple kale. The more variety of these colors that you can get into your diet, the more synergistically they work. 1 + 1 = 4, not 2. And when we talk about green leafies, particularly kale, once again, great source of getting sulforaphane into the body. And I would also say something that gets really shall we say, promoted or talked about when it comes to nutrition is lutein.
What's that?
Lutein. Lutein is the primary antioxidant that is used by the brain. And so the brain is chewing up 20% of our calorie burn per day. It is incredibly metabolically active. And that means that wherever there is a lot of metabolism taking place in the body, there's oxidative stress. And so we want to be consuming as much green leafies as possible, but particularly kale. Spinach is another good one, or dark lettuces. A lot of lutein in those products. And there was a study done. It was a brilliant study in which they measured the lutein levels in the optic nerve. So the optic nerve can be seen by, looking through the eye, dilating the pupil. You can see it. And if you shoot a beam of light at a particular wavelength, it can actually measure the amount of lutein in the optic nerve. And because the optic nerve is an extension of the brain, that's a direct measurement of lutein
in the brain. That's fascinating.
And what they found in this study was the people with the lowest quintile scores had more cognitive deficits. And those in the highest had, the least amount or had the best cognitive function. So
when we're talking about
that doesn't surprise us.
So do you mean like cognitive function, like when we talk about dementia or aging?
Dementia, Alzheimer's, the whole bit. So once again, we want to protect our cells and our DNA from oxidative stress.
Cool.
Just being alive, there's oxidative stress taking place throughout the whole body. And our bodies do have mechanisms built into them to do that. But of course, as we age, they don't work as well. So as we get older, we want to support our cells, our DNA, by consuming as many of these antioxidants as possible. And different antioxidants concentrate into different parts of the body. Okay. So for example, let's take these tomatoes here. There's some people who say it's nightshade and everything else, don't eat it. And there's some people who have reflux disease and are very sensitive to tomatoes, or their joints flare up. But generally, most people can consume tomatoes. And tomatoes are a great source of lycopene, or bell peppers. Red bell peppers have a lot of lycopene. Lycopene, when it's red, it's probably lycopene. And lycopene for men is really beneficial because it concentrates inside the prostate gland. And you can just look at PSA levels and prostate cancer. There's a direct correlation between how much lycopene is consumed and the risk for the prostate cancer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm slicing some rainbow carrots. Decided I didn't like my kale on there. So I love that carrots come in different colors.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not just an orange carrot, but it's all these other different colors. And you can say the same for potatoes, the little potatoes out there. There's purple potatoes. I don't know if we have any of those here today, but purple potatoes are your friend. Are they over here somewhere?
No, I think I put them all in the soup.
Okay, so they're in the soup already, but the more color, the more antioxidants. So, I mean, it's just a simple rule of thumb. Eat the color. Eat the colors of the rainbow. Eat the darkest plant-based products out there to get the most benefit.
So the carrots that we have, do they taste differently when they're different colors?
I think they do a little bit.
Do the purple ones still have all the carotene that the orange ones have?
But when the dip is as good as yours, I don't think it's...
Nobody cares. Thank you.
Nobody cares. I mean, that's a crazy good... the secret's in the sauce, they say. And so, get that one out to your viewers is...
It's kind of fun. So a lot of times when we make party platters, we're talking about more like charcuterie boards that have a lot of meats and cheeses on them. I like putting a lot of fruit on mine too. This was one that I came across. We decided to do this episode on the veggies and focus on cruciferous veggies. And so I thought, wouldn't it be fun just to highlight a board that is mostly veggies? So
yeah, and we've all heard about beta carotene. Beta carotene is found, of course, in carrots. Beta carotene concentrates in the retina and in the skin. And years ago, I read a study, this back in the 90s, in which they looked at beta carotene consumption and skin cancer risk. The more beta carotene you're eating, the less skin cancer risk you have. So, and then, of course, really good for the retina. And lutein concentrates in the retina as well, along with zeaxanthine. So zeaxanthine.
That's a good one.
It gives vegetables their yellow color like corn. So if you look at corn, it's just loaded with zeaxanthine. And once again, that's protecting your retina, protecting you against macular degeneration. Or if you do have macular degeneration, you want to slow down the progression of that disease by getting as much lutein and zeaxanthine into your diet as possible.
So we're laying a base of some green beans on next with some sugar snack peas, which these are so pretty. Let me show you guys. I love how they look on the inside. Maybe I should have popped them open. Don't they look great with their little cubes in there?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, these plants have been evolving for hundreds and hundreds of millions of years, and the whole species is riding on that seed. And these seeds have been vetted over that entire time. And in these seeds are excellent sources of protein, antioxidants, healthy fats, lignans, and other things that prevent cardiovascular disease, cancer, and dementia. So we want to definitely, get the seeds into our body. The more variety, the better.
So this is a little hummus. We hollowed out our red cabbages, and we're just going to put our hummus here. So we prepared some yummy dips. So one of the fun things about making boards for your guests is all the different flavors, right? So We have our salad dressing that we just made. This is a roasted red beet hummus that I made earlier.
Yeah, this is incredible. I've never seen this. I'll leave it to Dr. Crockett to expand my horizons. So tell us, Sue, what went into this?
So I took a beet this morning and I cut it up and roasted it with a little olive oil and sea salt and black pepper for about an hour. And then we stuck it in a blender with some chickpeas and a little bit of garlic, and I think it had a little apple cider vinegar in it too. I think I used some of that beet in it and just ran it through the blender. And you can add spice to it if you want, like a little cayenne pepper or something. I'm not a fan of spice, so I didn't do that. And then we have a basil pesto, which is also vegan. It doesn't have any dairy in it. And I made a vegan ranch dressing dip. So I keep that powdered in one of my OXO containers, and you can make a dressing or a dip out of it.
Yep.
And then we have our traditional hummus. So this makes a nice, generous platter. And then we just want to throw more color on it, right? So let's do a little bit of tomatoes. And then when your guests come over, you can also have your traditional other types of boards with you, laid out. You don't have to have just a veggie platter, but when they get to the veggie platter, there's a lot of different flavor for them to enjoy and try and experiment with. And I think that's part of the fun of getting together and trying new foods, right?
It really is. And we talk a lot about sugar and how addictive it is, and processed carbs, the bread, chips, crackers, tortillas, cakes, muffins, and all those things. But I think what we don't talk enough about is, the fat tooth that America has. And
the fat tooth.
Yeah. And so the fat tooth is real. We like fat because in the fat resides flavors. And
right.
It's just a question of choosing the healthy fats, like Dr. Crockett has laid out here. So the hummus, your poppy seed dressing, all of this is going to tame any of the bitter flavors inside these cruciferous vegetables and anything actually laid out here and make them taste delicious. So the other thing that we like is we like crunchiness. That's why we like our chips. So, finding a healthy chip is a bit of a challenge. There are a few out there, but what's even better than that is getting that crunchy experience from these cruciferous vegetables and other vegetables that are laid out here.
So I went to the store today to find purple cauliflower, and they were out of it. We found our green cauliflower, white cauliflower, and some orange. So I'm going to add a little bit of color here.
We talk about we can get in, we talk a lot about inflammation in the body, but I think the things that we need to talk about also are, number one is cardiovascular disease, and that's the number one killer. So what causes that? Well, obesity causes it. High blood pressure comes along with that. High cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, etc. And when you look at these types of foods, the Fab Five, particularly veggies and fruits, consuming more of those, even if you didn't lose any weight, within 2 months, your systolic blood pressure, your top number on your blood pressure, would drop anywhere from about 7 to 11 plus points. Now, when you eat more of these foods, you're going to lose weight. Okay. If you're not eating the garbage and you're eating this stuff, your weight's going to start coming down. And so as your weight comes down, your blood pressure is going to come down. And of course, your inflammation is going to come down. And then the other thing about all of these plant-based foods, veggies, fruits, whole grain seeds, and nuts, is there's zero cholesterol. All right.
And because cholesterol only comes from
animal products. Yeah.
And you know the answer to that.
We just got it. Easy does it. Everybody's risk for cholesterol is different. I'm not saying don't eat any animal products at all, but frankly, I think the more you move towards a whole food plant-based diet, the better off you're going to be. There are some caveats. If you're going to be a vegan, you do need to pay attention to your B12 intake, because back in the day, before, we kind of developed the agrarian society and settled down, we were hunter-gatherers. We were pulling this stuff out of the ground, potatoes, everything, roots, tubers, and we're eating dirt. And that's all where B12 lives all over the planet. B12 is ubiquitous in the soil and minerals as well. So our food's almost too clean. But one of the things I do encourage people that are going to go vegan is do have your homocysteine levels checked. Okay, ask your doc to run a homocysteine level.
So true story, I'm a MTHFR person.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
So I pay attention to my homocysteine level. I keep it under 10.
Yeah. So
most of the time.
Keep it under 10. If you have a homocysteine level of 14, that doubles your risk of dementia.
And I just hurt all the time when that happens. I can feel it in my joints.
Yeah, so make sure we're getting a good multivitamin with B12 in it. Okay.
I think we're just about done here. I got we're going to decorate with a little bit of rosemary just for it to be pretty. I added some peppers. We were talking in the grocery store about the red ones being especially yummy, right? Good for us.
The red peppers have the highest concentration of antioxidants. We're talking about bell peppers. But I mean, all of these foods are delicious. I mean, when you're faced with a choice of eating a fruit or any plant-based product over sugar or processed carb, you want to be consuming these whole food plant-based things. And you want them in your house, and you want to make it easy for you to eat and access. And if you can see it, you're going to eat it. And we'll kind of get into my healthy breakfast later on. But the key thing is to have these foods available and to enjoy them.
Well, you're the one that taught me about the containers and to put them on the counter.
Yeah.
And to fill them with the Fab Five. So I started doing that. And then, do you remember when I first did that? I showed you and you were like, oh, that's so beautiful. But I didn't tell you that.
Yeah, bacon bits or something in that one container. Yeah, she snuck in a bacon. She had 25 containers. Yeah, this is incredible. Yeah, blew me away. But yeah, real simple concept. In sight, in mind, in body.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a real simple sequence.
I think we got it done. I think this is it.
That is incredible.
Doesn't it look beautiful?
It is absolutely amazing. And, so anybody would enjoy something on this tray.
For your next celebration, consider this. We got spring and Easter coming up. I love the purple color of the beets. One thing we didn't mention is that due to popular demand, I am starting a recipe blog. You can go to drcrockett.com and find this and other recipes there. And that is just to help support you in your wellness journey. And we love bringing you these conversations about what we talk about with our patients that has nothing to do with surgery. In fact, like Dr. Miloy mentioned, these are the ways that you prevent coming to me for surgery. I have a large population of endometriosis and fibroid patients, and all that is hyperestrogenism and inflammation. Yes. And so we're constantly talking about cutting out the red meats. And when I bring up whole food plant-based, I always get that kind of hesitation. So we want to give you examples of how it is fun and easy and delicious and beautiful. And I hope you enjoy what we brought to you today.
Yeah, we love talking nutrition. The other thing for all you people that feel like, I can't do this, because there's a lot of, I think, people look at this and say, yeah, this sounds great, but like I'm a meathead or I'm addicted to carbs. Understand that your taste buds are the dumbest part of your body.
Oh, no, that's funny.
They really are. Yeah. And when you start to eat this way, within 2 weeks, everything shifts. It's just incredibly dramatic. So,
you don't have to go all or none. Mostly, you can shift. I know you are like the go all in, but I am a little different. I am. I'm like 80% do this, okay? And you can still have your once a month, eat your steak if you want.
Yeah, this is how I explain to my patients. So here's the standard American diet, aka SAD, right? Standard American diet. And here's a whole food plant-based diet. This is backed by reams of data, and I think this is the healthiest way to eat. And then this is the Texan diet, Sue, over here.
Yeah.
But let's say, you come to here.
Yeah.
And go,
Still feel a whole lot better.
That is a massive improvement. And the key is to focus on making plant-based foods the foundation, decreasing the amount of meat and dairy. And the most important thing is to get the sugar and the carbs out, the processed carbs. The carbs found in these whole foods are healthy. They don't count. Okay. It's getting away from the frankenfood, and that's the stuff made in the lab. If you can't find it in nature, you don't want to be eating that, or at least you want to eat less. Yeah. And that is going to move the needle more than anything. So you don't have to be a vegan. You don't have to be, some over the top person. But if you are inclined to go there, do go all the way. But if you say go 2/3, that's massive. That is massive. It's huge.
All right. So once again, let's tell people where they can find you. This is Dr. David.
You can find my practice website at optimumhealthdoc.com.
Okay.
And you can reach me at Dr. Miloy, DRMILOY @gmail.com. And then you can find me also at my coaching website, which is Reed Miloy.
Awesome. Great job.
Yep.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Becoming Virtuosa. To learn more, come visit us at drcrockett.com. That's drcrockett with 2 T's.com. Or find us on YouTube for The Dr. Crockett Show. If you found this episode helpful or think it might help someone else, please like, subscribe, and share. This is how we grow together. Thanks, and I'll see you next week. Love always, Sue.